Hey, what's going on, people? I was doing a little research listening to a podcast, and I heard something that was very, very interesting. And I just had to stop doing what I was doing, run over here to a hangout because this is more reinforcement to many of the concepts and principles that I've been talking about for years. I'm just going to read something to you. The title of it, and this is in the New York Times, written by Thomas L. Friedman. The title, which is this came out this year, How to Get a Job at Google. Now I know you're going, wait a minute, Glendon, you're the guy that talks about starting your own thing. What do you mean talking about getting a job? Hold on, hold up, hold up, hold up. Just listen to me. Last June, in an interview with Adam Bryant of the Times, Laszlo Bock, the Senior Vice President of People Operations for Google, i.e. the guy in charge of hiring of one of the world's most successful companies, noted that Google had determined that GPAs are worthless as a criteria for hiring, and test scores are worthless. We found that they don't predict anything. He also noted that the proportion of people without any college education at Google has increased over time, now as high as 14% of some of the teams. At a time when many people are asking, how my kid gonna get a job, I thought it would be useful to visit Google and hear how Brock would answer. Don't get him wrong, Brock begins. Good grades certainly don't hurt. Many jobs at Google require math, computing, and coding skills. So if your good grades truly reflect skills in those areas that you can apply, it will be to an advantage. But Google has its eyes on much more. There are 5 hiring attributes we've come across in the company, explained Bach. It's the technical role. We assess your coding ability, and half of the roles in the company are technical roles. For every job, though, the number one thing we look for is general cognitive ability, and it's not IQ. It is learning ability. It's the ability to process on the fly. It's the ability to pull together disparate bits of information. We assess that using structured behavior interviews that we validate to make sure they're predictive. Okay, I'm going to start reading to you, and I'm just go back. Essentially, what's going on is if you don't have the skills to pay the bills, you're not getting hired, regardless of that phony degree that you got because your girlfriend was taking your test for you. So this is something that I've talked about a long time. We've had great inflation, but we live in this society of faux self-esteem. We live in this society where people are more focused on the end goal of getting a degree without actually learning shit. I know so many people like this who will boast, I went to such and such school and I had such and such a GPA, and they could not figure their way out of a paper bag because they do not have problem-solving skills. They cannot analyze. They cannot come up with concepts. They cannot implement. They cannot think. But they have a nice GPA from a very good college. And if you look at their lives, and this isn't everyone with a degree. There are a lot of people with degrees who can figure out shit and who are problem solving. But the deal is probably the number one company in the world that runs on brain power. Google is egghead you. Everyone walking around that place is smart. Everyone's damn near everyone. They have to be. They are the. And this is the point that I really want you to get. They have looked past this degree thing, and they looked at the ability thing. So essentially, if you are a coder extraordinaire and you never went to anyone's school, and you go to Google and you sit down at that keyboard and you make the code dance, and they all go, ooh, that's some beautiful code, you're in. So this is one of the things that I've pressed home in 30 Days to 25. Learn how to do things. Here it is, people. Number one company in the world that hires on brain power. This is nerd tech. And if you have these skills, not the degree, not the GPA, but if you have the skills, and the ability to relearn new skills very quickly, which is a hustler mindset attribute, you can get in. Now let's just step back away from getting a job at Google. I just did this to illustrate that something that I've been talking about for, I think I did the degree myth in 2011. I'm not sure. I have to look at it. And I just got beat up about it. And what's going on right now, you have people who are going to school and they're just going through the motions to get that information, to get that degree, and they're not learning anything. And if they're not learning anything, we will not be able to apply that information in the future. One of the things that helped me, and understand, I had to learn a massive amount of stuff since 2009 to be before you today. I didn't go to school. I didn't even take a part-time class. I went to YouTube. I went to blogs. I went to Facebook. I listened to podcasts. I bought books. I went to webinars. I went to seminars. I created an education based on need. Oh, I need to get this skill. Oh, they have it over here. Let me go over here and get this skill from over there. And I've been able to fashion the ability for me to support myself and family doing this. Yet there are many people with degrees from some of the most stellar, some of the most hallowed halls of education. Oh, Ivy, U, whatever. And they're still living at home with their mom and dad. Both mom and dad never went to college, but they managed to get a house paid off, so their kid that they sent to college and paid all this money for is living with them in the house that they got because they were able to save money. Think about that. The people with no degrees are better off than the people with degrees because they were able to do things. The student loans thing is out of control. It is a serious, serious issue. Someone presented a question to me probably about 12, 13 months ago, whether to go to school. No, I actually did a video, how to drop out of school like a boss, because he was in school, he was unmotivated, and everyone's like, stay in school, get your education. How many times have you heard that shit? Get your education. That is an extremely general statement, as if getting an education is going to save your life. Now, let me give you a new thing. Go ahead and get a viable education. I will stack up my financial education against any freaking MBA out there, because unless you have risked your own money and been in business and had to deal with customers, all the other stuff that goes on, it's just certain things you're not going to know. Those courses are designed to plug you into someone else's process. I will stand corrected if there's processes and courses out there that help people start their own business, but essentially the very core of the things that I have talked about for years is you must learn how to do something that presents value to your fellow man. It's very, very simple. Many people are going out, getting degrees in bullshit they don't even like. I mean, if you go into med school and you don't like med school, I would consider that a good bet, because you get out, if you're proficient, you will work. But if you're going, I heard of someone that just got a PhD in philosophy. She's living at home with her mother. She's got a PhD living at home with her mother. I would be ashamed if I was that age living at home with my mom. Just me. Because when you get past your teens and your early 20s and you still back at home with mom and dad, and you didn't have that's just sad. It's just sad. Just really, really sad. It's a bit trifling. But the whole deal is learn how to do something. And you don't have to be great. You have to be good, because you have to get to good before you go to great. Many people wonder, well, if I can't become proficient, what's the use of me even trying? Why should I even give a damn? I'll just sit here and suck back in mediocrity. Just try, people. Try. Here it is. You can go ahead, check it out. Google how to get a job at Google. Read the article, and they're going to tell you that you must, essentially, the whole thing is you got to have the skills. You have to have the ability. And not only if you have the skills, that's not enough. You have to have the skills, and they have to feel confident that you will be able to have the cognitive ability to learn new stuff in the future because they know it's going to change. This whole process of acquiring knowledge, sitting on your ass, raking in more money year and year after year, that shit's over unless you own the company and you hire other people to run that shit for you. Hint and a half for your ass. Learn how to do stuff. Learn how to create. Learn how to innovate. Because if you're a person that wants to learn how to be a programmer, my advice to you is go to Udemy, go to YouTube, and find yourself a programming course. Ruby Rails. There are so many resources online that if you want to learn how to code and you start today, what you can do in a year's time with dedication, you can actually probably get a job as a programmer or a coder if you're good. If you can go, well, I built this, I made this app. If you can demonstrate that you have done some things with your life, people will give you a shot. People will give you a shot. And the thing is, you're earning your way. So, really, really let go of this whole thing of, I got to go to school. Replace that with, I need to educate myself with viable information. If you're educating yourself with viable information, whether it's through a formal setting or informal setting, and at a certain point, you can just go out there and make it happen. Do what you need to do to build that business, that product, whatever you're working on. Just do that, and you will be amazed at what you can build in a life. It will be totally, totally amazing, because it's all about what you can do, the things that you can create, the things that you can build. That is the genesis of what you need to do in this new economy, this new future we're going to have. You're going to have to be a creator, an innovator. And if you're one of those people that went to school and had people, cheated, you're in a fraternity and you had all of the tests, and because Professor Hackenhoff, used the same test for 2-3 decades, and the frat had it, and you actually didn't learn how to do shit, you're in trouble. Because at some point, that shit's going to catch up with you. Like people who are dependent and always depend on their parents and their friends and stuff, and they never learn how to take care of themselves, at some point, it's going to catch up with you. And it's going to be harsh. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rugged. And it's amazing how many people are in that situation. But, here's a few tips. Learn how to educate yourself. Learn how to focus. Learn how to concentrate. The price of building this freedom I have came at the expense of watching a lot of TV. Ooh, that is a pretty small price to pay, in my estimation. So go ahead, check out the article, think about it, and just know, to become valuable in this new world, you must be able to do stuff. Because as is illustrated here by this title, How to Get a Job at Google, and when they say, note it, Google has determined that GPAs are worthless as a criteria for hiring, and test scores are worthless because people have cheated their way through their school. They haven't learned how to do shit. It's very imperative that you learn how to do stuff. It's just something that you've got to do. All right, this is Glendon, and I will see you on the good side.